The Federal Capital Territory Fire Service Department on Friday announced a ban on traders sleeping in the FCT market to reduce fire outbreaks in the markets. Adebayo, the acting director of the department, announced this in a news conference in Abuja, and he said that the ban was in line with the implementation of emergency jurisdiction of the department's mandates. He described the development as very alarming, adding that it not only violates regulations but posed significant risk to personal safety and property. He expressed concern over the 226 fire incidents recorded in the FCT from January to June, and he added that sleeping in the market, amongst other careless human practices, contributed to high incident of fire outbreak. He said that the fire service would enforce no sleeping regulations within markets and also advocated the provision of alternative accommodation for traders where necessary. According to him, building of shanties within the market increases the risk of burning and uncontrollable blazes. When I first saw the story about no sleeping in the market, before I went into the details to find out that, while making inquiries on this story or research, to find out that he actually stated that accommodations to be provided to avoid cases like this. Anyone who sees the headline, no sleeping in the market, will ask, how is that even possible? It's very funny saying people in the market, people who stay there from morning till some markets close at 6, 5, as the case may be. But some markets, they don't close. It's until they're tired and they want to go home. So you say they shouldn't sleep all through. Is this one of the measures that could stop this particular incident or this incident of fire?
In Nigeria, in every city in Nigeria, we have housing deficit. It's really reassuring to note that in Rivers State, Governor Fubara has taken it upon himself to initiate housing schemes. There's one close to us here at this airport road, where I think 20,000 housing units. In those days, we woke up to see governors, initiating housing schemes. In Rivers State, you see the likes of Spiff. Those days, Lekaya Housing Estate, Rumebeku Housing Estate, so many housing estates. In some cases, to provide housing for civil servants, to provide housing for some kind of people. You see, I thought that the present administration, the governors especially, should be able to emulate that footsteps. Because housing, it is not easy for somebody to own, to make money to buy a piece of land, to build a house, and to live with his family. But if there is a housing policy, as a worker, you key into that housing policy. By the end of the day, a little fraction of your salary is deducted. And in 5 to 10 years, you become a house owner. You become a house owner. So most of the people sleeping under Qatar Bridge, under flyovers and so on, it's not as if they are enjoying it. They are not enjoying it. No. It is, Nigeria is suffering. See, food, clothing, and shelter. These are 3 basic needs. If any government is unable to fulfill these 3 basic needs, that government has failed. And that is our problem. In those, under the flyovers, in those terrible, rough places, that becomes a breeding ground for drug addicts, it becomes a breeding ground for alcoholics, because a breeding for cultists. So government should be intentional in providing housing. They should prioritize, food, shelter, and clothing. If it is clothing, you can put on one cloth for even 1 week. But especially food, food and housing. Shelter. They have shelter, very critical, very, very important. So the federal government should rise up. Let them wake up to the realization that the Minister of Housing is not just there to do administrative work. Let them also build houses. They should also, by way of executive order, instruct some of these states to embark on housing projects. In Bayelsa, the present governor, Governor Diri, is doing fairly well in the aspect of building houses for legislators. Yes, building houses for commissioners. So the moment you become a commissioner and you are leaving office, you already own a house, which is a good thing. So as many people as you appoint commissioner for 8 years, all of them become house owners. Let them replicate it even at the local government level is possible. So by the time we do that, how the hell will somebody, sorry, I'm not an American, how the hell will somebody go to fire service office and sleep there? Except that the person wants to fire up himself. Not if you want to fire up yourself, what if there's fire incident?
Sleeping in markets, actually.
Sleeping in markets.
Okay. You're talking about the fire service workers now sleeping on duty?
Not just sleeping on duty. Most of them. See, what happens in Nigeria is that in Abuja, there is housing deficit very acute. So in case you are employed as let's say, you have been employed as a federal civil servant in the Federal Ministry of Agriculture. First, you are posted to Abuja, or any other ministry at all, you are posted to Abuja. Except you have a brother or a friend, it will be very difficult for you to own. And again, you cannot be paying transfer from here to Abuja every other day. So the first thing people do is, let's see whether there is an office space where I can lay my head in the morning, they pour water. When Bayelsa State was created in 1996, remember, all the top civil servants were in Rivers State. They went there was no house to stay, nowhere to sleep. So some of them will go sleep in the verandas of some of the offices. In the morning, they wash their faces and so on. Life goes on. They continue. Until people started building houses. Bayelsa is also, Yenagua is also developing. Because if you consider what was obtainable in the year 2000 and now, there is a massive difference. Yes. All
right. Let's look at the next story now. Talking about Bayelsa State developing. If we're going to talk about that, that's going to take us a very long time.
Yes.
I have so much to say concerning that.